What's up guys, it's Meg. Welcome back to Meg After Dark. Today we're talking about the latest episode of The Walking Dead, Season 8, Episode 13, called Do Not Lead Us Astray. Sorry this review is kind of late this week. It is spring break here in Oregon, so I haven't had a chance to like sit anywhere in the car and just chit chat with you guys, which is so much easier than trying to film in my house here, where there are always so many distractions and noise. But I thought about not doing the video. Here I am doing the video. Some of you have been asking about it, so I thought, why not just do it? So let's get right into it. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I loved that, well, okay, I'm on the fence a little bit. So I loved actually seeing it play out on television. Like if I don't think about the discrepancies in this show and getting walker guts like in your wounds, I enjoyed the episode. I've never really liked that storyline from the comics, so I was very hesitant to like be on board with it on the television show, because I feel like we have seen moments where like surely someone has gotten walker blood, walker guts in a wound or a scratch or anything, like, so it kind of has always bugged me that happened and that they chose to go that way in the comics and now in the show. But I have to say I was really skeptical, and then when I saw it on TV, like if I could ignore that aspect of it and embrace it, I really liked it. I liked all of the damage that it did. So the saviors arrive at the hilltop and Maggie has put up a really good defense. They saved the wall, so the saviors were going to just like, you know, run right into it, knock it down, that kind of thing, and they protected it by actually opening it, letting the saviors in, but having them crash into a bus. That was brilliant on Maggie's part. As what's the lady knight, like the lady guard from the kingdom, what's her name, the one that was talking to Maggie in this episode? I can never remember, but I liked that she pointed it out. So a lot of this episode we have people praising Maggie. So we have this lady praising Maggie, like, you're a good leader, this is great. And then we have that other guy who, I don't even know if he had a name, but he was a hilltop resident who was injured up at the top of the stairs in the house. And he was telling Maggie, like, if Gregory had been leading us, there wouldn't be a hilltop anymore. Like, basically, we're praising Maggie, like, you did good, you did good. And this whole time I think she's questioning herself, like, did she really do good? Because all she can think about is revenge. And like she says in the episode, all I wanted was for Negan to see my husband's grave and for that to be the last thing that he sees. Like, she was so desperate to see Negan dead that she didn't necessarily feel bad in those moments about anybody who died while it was happening, you know. And she says that in so many words. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I tried to write it down. The Kingdom Guard, which I can never remember her name, she says, you're a good leader, you save the gates, the community live lives. And Maggie said, I sent Negan the body to make him mad, to lure him here. And like, she didn't care about the outcome as long as she could lure him here and kill him. And she said, even if it came at a cost. The only regret I have is Negan isn't in that pile of bodies. So she's standing there looking at all of the bodies of the people, like her people, that have died. And she says, the only regret I have in this is that Negan is not there. I don't know if that makes me a good leader or a bad leader, whatever. And she says, like, no matter, what did she say? She said, even if it came at a cost. So in the beginning of this episode, we see Gavin appearing, dead Gavin, Gavin's ghost, whatever you want to call it, appearing to Morgan, who we know is like, he's so gone anymore. I really hate what they've done to Morgan, to be honest. I really don't like this crazy Morgan, and I don't even, like, if he's this fucked up, like, how is he going to move over to Fear and be a somewhat normal character? Like, to me, it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I don't really enjoy Morgan in like being this crazy Morgan. That's what's so frustrating for me. But back to the point. In the beginning, Gavin shows up and he says, you know what it is. You were supposed to, like, you know what it is. Throughout the whole episode, he keeps appearing to Morgan saying, you know what it is. And finally, at the very end of the episode, he says it so aggressively, like, you know what it is, you know what it is. And then Morgan doesn't say anything, but the scene splits to Maggie and she's overlooking even more graves than she was earlier. And the same guard lady, I should probably just look up her name, says, what is it? And Maggie says, the cost. So it took me a bit to kind of wrap my brain around everything because, you know, lots of other things happened in this episode in between these moments. But I really enjoyed that aspect of the show because they're basically showing us, like, you want your revenge, you want these people to die, but at what cost are you willing to, like, how far are you willing to go? What's the cost gonna be to get your revenge, to not even just get your revenge. I mean, I keep saying that, but that's only because Maggie is devastated over the loss of her husband and Negan was the one to kill him. The same for Rick. I think it's how far are you willing to go and at what cost? How many people, how many of your people have to die before you stop fighting? And it really reminded me of Carl because Carl wanted that same thing. He wanted them to stop fighting so that more lives didn't have to be lost. I had one more thing I wanted to say and I lost it, so maybe I'll come back around to it. Let's go back to a little bit back to the beginning again. We have, right before the attack starts, we have this Carol and Henry theme, and this is, I feel scared for Carol. I really do, and I feel scared for Carol's character here, and I'm actually kind of slightly worried that they may be getting ready to kill her off. So if y'all remember back in the beginning when Sophia got lost in the woods, she died in the woods, came out of the barn, that sort of thing. Henry asks for a weapon. He wants to fight before the saviors get there, and Carol tells him, if you go out during the attack, you'll die. I mean, she's like saying it like she's very serious. She walks away. Later, Henry gets a gun. He's determined to avenge his brother. Determined, no matter what, no matter the cost. He's determined to do it. Okay, I just remembered the point that I was trying to make before, so pause real quick on this Henry thing. Hopefully I can remember to come back. I wanted to go back since I was talking about Rick and Maggie being, you know, no matter what the cost is, needing to kill Negan. You see them at the end of the fight when the saviors are retreating and they're running away. You see Maggie and Rick coming up and they're shooting, and they're just like shooting until they run out of bullets. Like, they're so desperate to like kill every last one of them. And you see Maggie, and she's just, for one, she's an amazing actress, Lauren Cohan, because you could just feel the adrenaline and the anger and like every emotion that she was feeling in that Maggie was feeling in that moment. You could just see it on Lauren's face, and it was so well done, because she was just like, she's out of breath, and she's just like, I wanted them dead so bad. I wanted them all dead. And then Rick's like, I tried, you know, he tells her about Negan, and he's like, I tried. And she says, thank you. And just seeing them so desperate there, no matter what the cost is. And when Rick was there, he was just like a machine, killing any savior he could. So much a machine that he almost killed Sadiq because he saw Sadiq over Tobin. Like, he was just like, I mean, Sadiq is lucky that Rick caught himself before he did it. Okay, so that's pretty much what I was gonna say. I just wanted to point out Rick as well, that they're both on this deep mission to kill Negan no matter what. And I think that was a big theme in this episode, was what is the cost going to be of you avenging Glenn, avenging Carl, like that kind of thing. What is the cost gonna be? So feel free to add your opinions on that in the comments too, especially if I missed something, or if you guys have like a different theory on that, feel free to let me know. I wanted to go back to Carol and Henry real fast because I'm worried about Carol. Henry finds a gun. He's determined to avenge his brother. He goes to the saviors, demands to know who killed his brother. Most of them don't even know who the hell this little kid is. While he's doing that, everybody starts turning from the fight, from the Walker blooded weapons, and he loses the gun, the saviors escape, Gregory escapes, and we don't see Henry again. And at the end of the episode, Carol is frantic looking for him. And I think it is apparent by the end of the episode and by next week's promos that Henry has gone out into the woods. And if Henry dies out there in the woods, because she's like, I told him he'd die if he went outside. And I feel like it's this theme of Sophia went out to the woods, she died, and now Henry's going out to the woods and he might die, being out there alone and upset and knowing that he was the reason the saviors escaped. I think that if, you know, after she had to kill Tobin as well, Tobin as a walker, I think that if Henry dies out there in the woods and she feels responsible for not like protecting him or for saying like, if you go out there you'll die, like almost prophesying it, I feel like we'll lose Carol. I do. I don't think she can handle feeling responsible, even if she's not responsible, feeling that. I don't think she can survive it. And I'm so worried because I want, like, I'm hoping it doesn't go that way, because I still want to see Ezekiel and Carol get together and stuff. There's still like so much more there. So hopefully it doesn't, but I could also see, actually, now that I think about it, I say all of that like, ooh, I'm worried that she wouldn't survive it. I actually think that if she, you know, I'm thinking ahead to comic storylines and I'm trying to think, like, I don't want to spoil anything for you guys, but I think she may go away for a while. It may be kind of like the Michonne storyline as well. After the war was over, she kind of went away for a little bit to do some other stuff, to find herself, that sort of thing. And I'm curious if maybe Carol will end up doing the same sort of thing. And that will be because she loses Henry and because she somewhat feels responsible for it. Like maybe she just won't be able to keep fighting anymore. I don't know. I could be totally wrong on that. Backtracking a little bit to Carol, I really appreciated the Tobin storyline, like the callback to, what was that, season 5, where they're at Alexandria and she's trying to put on the facade of like a normal life, you know, when she was faking like the Susie Homemaker type thing. And even after, she was trying to like feel normal. And I liked the conversation, how she says, you know, she was faking it, putting on a show, but she, you know, stopped it right about the time where she could have started feeling something. I appreciated that we got that kind of like closure in that relationship before he died. Sad that he died, because I kind of liked him as more of like a background character, but obviously like at least it wasn't one of our main characters, which I always worry about, so I wasn't too sad. He did a lot of damage though, him and everyone else. My one complaint really in the show, actually I have 2 complaints. First complaint is what everyone has been complaining about, and that is the walker falling down the stairs and nobody waking up. I believe that the front door was left open because Rick mentions earlier that it's so hot in there because they had to turn the generators off. So they were trying to open windows. It would make sense if it was so hot and stuffy in there that they would sleep with the door open. That being said, they were just attacked by the saviors, so it would have been a good idea to have a guard at the door and to like take turns keeping watch. It would have prevented a lot of problems. They could have just shut the door before Tobin and the rest of the walkers got in, but they were all sound asleep, and I imagine that they were just completely beat from fighting. You know, you're just exhausted and you just kind of like conk out, but somebody should have been on watch. And then the fact that you're in a zombie apocalypse and you don't wake up when you hear something big tumble down the stairs right next to you. Yeah, it was weird. I want to, oh, and my second complaint would be that there was like hardly any Jesus in this episode. Like, he has such great fighting skills, and all we did was we saw him put his foot up and pin a walker against a wall like one time so Michonne could kill it. Come on. Like, he has so many more skills than that, and it would have been an excellent episode to like show those skills off. So I'm a little disappointed that they didn't choose to go that way. Next, I want to talk about Dwight and Tara and Daryl. So we've had like a completely switched sides here. Before, Tara was completely ready to kill Dwight. Now she's on Dwight's side. Daryl was like okay with Dwight. Like, I think he was still gonna kill him eventually, but he was kind of like on board with Dwight a little bit. Now he's fully ready to kill Dwight if he ever sees Dwight again. It comes down to it. Tara realizes, I think, that Dwight was trying to save her with an arrow. I think probably that we don't see them talk again after they realize that the knives and everything were like contaminated. So I think once we see that Tara doesn't get sick, so maybe next episode, hopefully, Daryl will understand better that Dwight was trying to save her by not shooting her with a, you know, by shooting her with a clean arrow as opposed to Simon's dirty axe coming at her, which would have done a lot more damage. And also, if it didn't kill her, it would have infected her and later killed her. So I'm hoping that we see Daryl like chill a little bit on that, but he seemed like ready to kill Dwight. I'm as always, I'm worried that if Daryl and Dwight do come head to head, that Dwight will definitely come out on top, I feel like, because of the future of that character. I don't know, but I hope that it doesn't come to that. Oh, I want to add that I really love Sadiq. I love that they're featuring Sadiq more each episode. So we see this really great interaction with him in the beginning with this really rude, I don't know, she's not a doctor, so maybe she's a nurse or something. But she's, I think, one of the only people there that had some medical knowledge. Obviously she's dead now. So it's just Sadiq, I think. I mean, these doctors keep popping out of the woodwork here, so every time I think we don't have any doctors, we have another doctor. But I loved Sadiq and how he stood up to her. Like, she's just like trash talking him and like, you don't know anything, you don't know shit, that's worse than whatever she said, I can't remember. But he doesn't let that get to him. He's like, I've done nothing but try new things this entire time. So I love that moment. Later we see him come up to, well, we see him during the battle and he's trying desperately to save Tobin, and he's kind of doing that immediate medical attention for people, which is exactly what they need in order to get people to survive. But we see Sadiq try and talk to Rick, and I love this moment because Rick he's not ready to hear it. It's just like Carl's letter. He's not ready to, you know, be on board with what Carl's saying yet. He really needs Negan to die, and he's just not ready to see Carl's message yet. But Sadiq, who was an inspiration to Carl, honestly, is still there and is still kind of whispering things to him. And he says to Rick that there's a prayer for the dead that says, do not send us astray after them. And honestly, I think he's trying to get, you know, do not send us astray after them. Basically, like, even though you're grieving, don't lead us astray as well. Which basically means like, don't go the same way, like don't go and get yourself killed too in your need for vengeance here. So I think he's just slowly kind of trying to work on Rick as well. I also can't help but wonder if Daryl is gonna die, because he has had a lot more speaking parts the second half of the series, and you guys know how that goes. As soon as we start, I mean, Daryl's a fan favorite, obviously, so his death would be really a big deal. But I have to say, he has not had a lot of conversation in really any season recently. And all of a sudden, the second half, he's like having long conversations with people multiple times in an episode. So he's talking to Tara, and then he's, you know, he's talking to Rick and Maggie and Carol there when they're discovering that the weapons are covered. And I mean, he's just, I even made a note here, which is not something I would usually say, is that Daryl has so many speaking parts in the last couple of episodes. And I feel like whenever they make a character more prominent, they're getting ready to kill him off. So I'm really hoping I'm wrong here, but I don't know. I feel like we only have, what are we on? 13, 14, 15, 16, we have 3 more episodes, and I feel like they're gonna have a big character die. I mean, they have to, right? So what if that's the reason why Daryl has so many more speaking parts now? I don't know, you guys. I don't even want to say it out loud. Knock on wood. Like, it's not gonna happen. I just knocked on the desk and my dogs are growling because they think somebody's at the front door. Okay, you guys, I think that's it for my notes. I really enjoyed this episode. I did. I'm excited for what next week holds. We're coming down to it here. I think I'm most excited for the finale because I really want to see how this whole Morgan thing plays out. It's so weird. All right, you guys, that is it for my review. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys this Sunday with my reaction video. I will be finishing the Q&As, you guys. It's just this week has been spring break, and so it's been crazy busy with work and my kid being home, and it's just not been easy to film. Next week we go back to our normal schedule, so I'm hoping to get back in the car parking lot and answer some of those questions for you. Okay, you guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. I will see you next time. Bye.